Thursday. Don McPherson joins us now, as he always does on a Thursday, brought to you by Fellman Brothers Automotive. You never know in these BC games, right, Donnie? You can get the beautiful fall day. You can arrive in a weird, chilly monsoon. You never quite know what you're getting into when you're going up to BC.
I lived in Boston for a few years, and I live right down the hill from Chestnut Hill there in Newton. And you're exactly right. That's the beauty of Boston. One day it's sunny and warm, like it is here in Syracuse today. The next day it's 35, and the wind is blowing like crazy. Yeah,
talked to Kyle McCord the other day, and I asked him that. We explored the 10-day forecast while we were talking about it, and it all looks good on Saturday. For you as a quarterback, as we get into this weather time of year, obviously it doesn't apply in the Dome, and the Orange are outdoors this week and outdoors next week at Cal. Is it cold? Is it rain? Is it wind? What is the biggest impediment to you as a quarterback this time of year?
It's the rain. The wind. It's the wind, especially when the wind is going across the field, left to right, and because it will take the ball, in different directions. Again, you can get a gust just as you're releasing the football, and then you got to compensate for that. So the wind becomes the toughest thing. The rain makes the ball heavy. It's hard, I think, for the kickers because the ball starts to get a little heavy. But other than that, the wind is the toughest part.
You ever have any grip issues with a wet ball, or is that something you get used to?
All right, so you definitely have grip issues, and you make me laugh because early on in the days of the Dome, a ball slipped out of my hands. I think I was like a sophomore quarterback, and that was my first year playing, and a ball slipped out of my hands. And I complained about getting a wet ball. And the reporter said, "How could you get a wet ball in the Dome?" And I had to tell a very disgusting truth, that I had a center who sweat a lot. And it's really a nasty thought. But that led to getting a few wet balls. So it's the circulation in the Dome, air circulation, was not good in the 80s. It's much better now.
Yeah, I'd imagine both the air conditioning now and the shotgun has cleaned a lot of that up between the quarterback center exchange, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good sign. Yeah, back in the day. See, people don't know what you were dealing with back in the day.
Exactly.
They don't know what you were dealing with back in the day.
That's a too much information commentary.
Yeah, and we didn't even take it all the way as far as we could have taken it, so we should probably put the stop to it here as we get Don McPherson with us, our weekly chat by Fellman Brothers. Don, let's go back to last week. Just zany. I don't even know if I've completely put my brain around it here almost a week later. What'd you make of that win?
I thought this team has shown some grit, at different times. Obviously, the UNLV game, and then once again with this team, I just thought that it was so important to get LaQuint Allen. I think we talked about this last week, to get him in the run game, how important he was going to be to be able to possess the ball, control the clock, and get into conference play where things started to get a little bit tighter. And I thought that was the biggest part of that game, was getting LaQuint Allen some touches and getting him moving. I thought it was wasn't a great game for Kyle McCord. It wasn't his typical kind of game, and so we saw that LaQuint Allen could get it done, and the offensive line thought did a great job of providing some opportunities for him.
LaQuint was fantastic, and man, it felt like we've heard the stories. Like Fran was not really pleased with how things were going late first half, with good reason, and there was kind of the various come to Jesus moments at halftime. And it feels like nobody better on this year's team right to answer that call than LaQuint, because he'll do it, and everyone seems to follow him.
Yeah, and I think, coming into the season, we knew he would be that guy, and then all of a sudden Kyle McCord just started lighting up. And you have to give, LaQuint that some respect for being patient and being steadfast. He was getting challenged. There was other guys getting some touches early on in the season, but he's just been consistent. And I think, that UNLV game and what he did, especially in that overtime touchdown, just not quitting, I think just epitomizes the kind of player he's been. And Fran Brown, as much as he was talking about Kyle McCord at the beginning of the season, he definitely has to give LaQuint Allen some credit for not just his productivity, but his patience and making things happen when he got opportunities.
Yeah, LaQuint, 2 overtime games this year. He has 2 overtime touchdowns and 2 game-winning touchdowns. That's you're not going to get a better ratio than that. That's pretty good. And then, go ahead, Danny.
No, I was saying that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, you'll take 2 for 2 and 2 wins in those situations. All right, on the other side of the ball, I thought this week especially, second week back, man, I know he's not 100%. But Marlowe Wax looked an awful lot like Marlowe Wax this week, and that felt like a massive, massive key to the defense being able to make some big plays down the stretch.
I could not agree with you more. I think that there's two things about that. You're right. He's not 100%. But man, is he a ball player? He's around the football. He's got a good nose for where the plays are going, and I think he just elevates everyone. I think just again, like Quinn Allen, when you have the sort of the transfer portal and you got a lot of new players, to have those foundational guys, the guys that have been here, and can say this is what this game is going to be like, and this is what we should expect. You get that guy back on the field, and it just elevates everybody's game. And he's just such an important, again, just like a Quinn Allen, again, showing patience, right? He's injured. He's got to sit down for a couple of weeks, and he comes back and he's playing at a very high level, and that's just going to inspire everybody in that defensive huddle.
I mean, this may be a false assumption, but on the assumption his health improves here as he continues to work his way back in, and who knows with what he's going through over the last month. I mean, you look at that, them figuring out, it feels like, right, the defense has room to make some intriguing growth here in the next few weeks to close the season.
And they're going to need it. They're going to need it because the schedule is getting tough, and they got Miami down the road, and UConn should be a pretty good one. But like we've talked about this, I think Cal is the best worst team on the schedule and probably in the conference. And Boston College is going to be tough. I mean, the defense is going to need, and Marlowe is going to be really important when you got a mobile quarterback like Castellanos, and so he's going to be really important this week against BC.
Don McPherson with us, and Don, this thought it didn't occur to me last game, but it once again occurred to me last game, and it's occurred to me multiple times this year. We went a really long time around here with, by mid first quarter, you could answer with like 95% certainty if Syracuse was going to win the game or not. This year, it's like, and like that was good or bad. You're like, man, they look great today. Like, I'm not worried at all. This year, it's like, I don't know what's going on. They might come back. I don't know. Like, it's been a fascinating watch. I think it's a commentary in many ways of like the attitude Fran Brown is instilled. But like, it's wild this year, right? Like, you can't blink in a Syracuse football game now.
You are exactly right, and I think if you go back even 10 years, I would say Syracuse football was great for 3 quarters, and it was like the fourth quarter, everything decided, well, the game's over. Like no matter what the score was, it was 3 quarters. They were lights out. They could play with anyone for 3 quarters, and then something would happen. And to your point, this team, and maybe that is the Fran Brown's dart, right? Maybe it's the relentless piece in the dart that this team. Last week you're right. When they went, did they go down 14-0 in the beginning of the game? I can't remember what the score was early.
It's 14-3 at the half. It's 21-3 early in the third quarter.
There you go. At 21-3. In previous years, right, go get a Coke, as Coach Mack would say, go get an apple and a Coke because it's over. But this team, you just got to watch them for 60 minutes plus now. It's been a breath of fresh air to see a team like they are scrap for 60 minutes plus. Really fun to watch. Fun to watch. Don't get up. Don't go take a piss, as Coach Mack would say. Don't go take a piss and get an apple and Coke because it's not over yet.
Yeah, you'll come back and you'll be like, somebody needs to fill me in on what happened here because you don't know what you've missed if you walked away for 5 minutes.
That's right.
Yeah, like
right.
You walk away for 5 minutes, especially in like the fourth quarter of one of these games. It's like, what? Wait a minute, what has gone on while I've been out of the room? All right, Johnny, I want to ask you about this because I know you pay attention to the whole world of college football. First, playoff rankings came out on Tuesday night. Miami, certainly highly regarded right now. They were 4th overall, end up with the 3 seed. That is it, at least in the initial rankings for the ACC. SMU was 13th. How do you take in the rankings? So I guess A, overall, and B, from an ACC perspective.
I think the ACC is looking good. I think obviously Miami is right now a team that everyone thinks will have a chance. Even if we went to a 14 playoff, would have a chance to get in there because they're playing that with that well. I'm a little skeptical about this early. And I say it's early, even though it's November. I want to see conference play out. I want to see what SMU looks like going down the wire. But I think it's pretty predictable. It's nice nice to see some new schools getting into Indiana and getting in the rankings and getting a shot. And but overall, I think we're looking at the same old players.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia's there, Alabama's there, Texas is there, Ohio State is there, Oregon's there. No surprise there. Indiana, though, man, what a story this Indiana team is. Like, I get their schedule hasn't been like ridiculously challenging of yet, and it's about to pick up here in the next few weeks. I think they play Ohio State maybe 2 weeks from now. I don't think it's this weekend, but man. They're just crushing. Like, they're not just winning; they are beating the crap out of everybody they play.
And I'm sure who did they play last week? And they were down for a minute.
I think was it Michigan State? It was their first time they were down 10-0. First time they trailed all season. They're like, all right, here's 47 in a row.
Exactly, and apparently the fans were chanting overrated, and then they dropped 40 on them. This is a really good defense. Indiana, and they're playing at a level. You have to go back to Lee Corso's days when Indiana was this good.
Yeah, they've got well, go figure. They're playing Michigan this week, and Indiana's the team that's ranked 8th, and Michigan is the team that's unranked. Then they've got a bye week, and then they're at Ohio State. So that'll be a whale of a game coming up in a few weeks. Go figure. That's a game that's going to matter when it comes to college football playoffs. And I guess, man, that's what's fun about this expanded playoffs, right? Like, here's a random November game that would have been just completely shrugged off for the entirety of history. And this year, it's going to be maybe the biggest game in college football that week.
And I do love the expansion of it because it makes these, to your point, it makes this would have been a big game with the 14 playoff because it would have been probably one of the two was going to get in.
Right.
But now with the 12, it just makes it that much more intriguing to see schools like SMU. Where the heck did SMU come from, right? And where the heck did Indiana come from? And so it makes it more exciting to think that more teams have a shot to get in. And to your point, we might see more than Clemson get in representing the ACC. So it's much more exciting thinking that one loss doesn't kill you.
I know where SMU came from. They're sitting on all that oil. Well, where Indiana came from, it's a lot. Save for Kirk Cignetti, it's a lot harder to explain what they're doing this year, but it's looking great. All right, Don McPherson. Yeah, go ahead, Don.
On the SMU thing, you also have to remember they wanted to be a part of the party so much. They came into the ACC agreeing not to take any money.
No money.
Right? No money.
None.
They just said, we want to be a part of the party that bad. That now, of course, they have all that oil money, and they're still paying Craig James and Eric Dickerson. I think they're still getting some residuals, but they came into the ACC with no money because they wanted to be a part of the party that bad.
And that for those that understand, that's how much oil money they have access to.
That's how much oil money.
That is how much Texas oil money they have access to. They're like, your TV money? Is that what you're all arguing about? TV money? Yeah, great. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. It's like we have billionaires. Plural. We'll figure out the checkbook. All right, Donnie, what do you make of this game here this weekend? BC, hot start, kind of struggled here the last month or so with 3 straight losses. We know what the Orange are doing at 6-2. What's your sense of how it plays out on Saturday?
Going into the season, I thought BC was going to be tough, and when they beat Florida State, we thought that was a big win, and then we realized Florida State has nothing. And so you look at their schedule, and they really, it's not that impressive, and they're coming off of 3 straight losses. They need this game sitting at 4-4. They need this game bad if they're going to have a shot because they've got SMU that we've been talking about, and Pitt left on the schedule.
Tough.
So they've got a tough road, and this has got to be a big game at home against a known rival where their fans can get fired up because we got a lot of Syracuse alum there in Boston, and their fans know us well. And so this is a big game for BC, and you have to figure they're going to have their ears pinned back coming off 3 straight losses, knowing that they have SMU and Pitt. So they're going to be keyed up for this football game.
Yeah, go figure. It was Syracuse's last trip there 2 years ago. The Orange won. And then as a collective, they tried to plant the Syracuse flag in the artificial turf field, which offended me much more from the turf perspective than from the taunting perspective. I'm like, all right, let them know, but come on now. Like, what are we? That literally can't. That doesn't work. You can't do that.
Well,
what can you do? It's
there's a joke in there somewhere. I think I'll leave it alone.
Yeah. There's a lot of jokes in there somewhere, but we'll let you all invent your own out there in the radio world. All right, Don. Good as always. Enjoy the game Saturday. We'll talk next week.
All right, Brian. Take